All right, diving in. Welcome to the deep dive, where we take your sources and really try to pull out those gems, those golden
Yeah,
nuggets.
get to the heart of it all.
Exactly. And today is it's a big one. We're tackling success, which I mean, who doesn't want a bit more of that, right?
Right.
But we're not talking, just the surface level stuff. We've got a pretty diverse mix of sources here. Got some practical self-help. We've got some leadership strategies, even, believe it or not, some stuff about how the whole American dream thing ties into it all.
It's fascinating how those broader cultural ideas really do shape our views on achievement.
Totally. So our mission, if you will, is to not just tell you what success is, because let's
Yeah.
be honest, you've probably heard that a million times. We want to help you define it for yourself.
Your own version of it.
Exactly. And then, of course, figure out how to actually reach it in a way that, actually feels good and makes sense for you.
And one thing that jumps out right away from these sources, it's that success, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
No magic formula, huh?
Nope. And even in, say, the business world, where you might think, oh, it's all about the bottom line, the profits.
Dollars and cents.
Right. Even there, it's way more nuanced than we often think.
Which is what I love about this deep dive.
Right.
It's not just about those external markers, like the money, the fame, the fancy corner office.
The stuff we often equate with success.
Yeah, exactly. It's got to be something deeper, right?
And one of the guides we're looking at, Habits for Success, they really challenge that traditional view. They push you to define success based on your own values, what you want to achieve, even your specific circumstances at this point in time.
Love that. I mean, they use that example of Twitter, right? Before the whole acquisition thing. They weren't exactly, swimming in cash, but they were huge G in terms of impact.
Exactly. And the sources argue that that's where their success truly was, influencing global communication, shaping public discourse. That's a far cry from just looking at profit margins.
It's about the ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
What kind of impact you're having on the world around you. That's pretty powerful. And it leads to a question for you listening. What does success actually mean to you right here, right now? Keep that in mind as we dig deeper, because here's the thing, and this might surprise you. A lot of these sources, they acknowledge there's a dark side to success.
It's not all sunshine and roses, that's for sure.
Not all it's cracked up to be, huh?
Definitely not. We see it mentioned a lot, the burnout, the imposter syndrome, even the pressure to just keep achieving more and more, like it never ends.
Like you reach one goal and it's immediately on to the next one.
Exactly. And sometimes success can even clash with your values, like you achieve what you set out to do, but then realize it came at a cost you didn't expect.
You get to the top of the mountain and it's like, wait, this isn't what I thought it would be.
Yeah, and I think it's fascinating how often we don't even consider those potential downsides. We're so focused on the goal, we don't see the potential pitfalls along the way, like pushing for that promotion, but ending up sacrificing your personal time, or striving for financial security, but maybe giving up on a passion project in the process.
Trade-offs, right? They're always there.
Always. And what the sources really highlight is that being aware of those pitfalls, that's part of navigating success in a healthy way, being prepared for those unexpected challenges.
So it's like success is this double-edged sword. You got to wield it carefully, make informed choices, be ready for the curveballs.
Yeah.
But hey, enough of the doom and gloom, right? I know our listeners are all about action, so let's shift gears a bit and get to the good stuff. How to actually achieve success. What are these sources telling us?
There's a ton of practical advice in here, and honestly, a lot of it is surprisingly simple. I think we tend to overcomplicate things sometimes.
They get in our own way.
We do. But one thing that stands out is the focus on SMART goals.
Ah, yes, the classic SMART goals.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely. It's about taking those big, grand ambitions and breaking them down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Makes it less intimidating, right?
Exactly. And Habits for Successes gives this great example. Instead of just saying, I want to be rich, which is super big, they suggest something like, save 20% of my salary each month. See the difference.
Much more concrete, yeah. You can actually do something with it.
Exactly. It's tangible. It's actionable.
It's like that old saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But you got to know where you're going, right?
And SMART goals, they're like the roadmap.
And it doesn't even stop there. The sources also talk about breaking down those goals even further. So instead of focusing on writing an entire book, aim for 500 words a day. Consistency is key, right?
Little by little, it all adds up.
It does. It's like building a brick wall,
Yeah.
one brick at a time.
And before you know it, you've got a solid structure. They also mention the importance of having a support system, right? Big time. Surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, your vision, people who will cheer you on and offer encouragement when things get tough. That can make a world of difference. It's like having your own personal cheerleading squad.
And let's not forget about dealing with setbacks. Nobody likes to fail, but it's part of the game, isn't it?
It's inevitable.
It is. So how do we deal with that? What do the sources say?
That's where they really shine, actually. They don't sugarcoat it. They remind you that success is rarely a straight line. It's messy, it's unpredictable. There are going to be bumps along the way.
Detours, wrong turns, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. And they share these really inspiring examples of people who persisted through massive setbacks. Colonel Sanders, for example, his chicken recipe, you know how many times it was rejected?
I've heard it was a lot.
Over 1,000 times, 1,000 rejections. But he kept going. He believed in his idea.
Talk about resilience.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then there's Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. He was cut from his high school basketball team. Can you imagine?
Who would have thought?
I know, right? But these stories, they highlight something super important. Failure. It's not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey.
A stepping stone.
Exactly. So it's about reframing those experiences, seeing them as data points, learning from them, adapting, and then adjusting your course.
It's about having that growth mindset, right?
Absolutely. Embracing challenges, seeing those setbacks not as personal failures, but as opportunities to learn and grow.
So don't be afraid to fail. Embrace the bumps in the road. They're going to make you stronger, more resourceful, ultimately more successful in reaching your goals. But hold on, it's not all about pushing forward relentlessly either. There's going to be some balance, right?
Right. And there's this great analogy the sources use to highlight that, the watering can analogy. It's so visual. I love it. Imagine you're a gardener. You've got this watering can, and you're tending to all these different life plants, your career, your health, your relationships, personal growth, all of it. You can't water them all equally at the same time and expect them all to flourish.
Some need more attention than others at different times, right?
Exactly. It's about strategic allocation, figuring out which areas need more watering right now.
And the sources point out that success in one area, it can sometimes come at a cost in another. You might be killing it in your career, but neglecting your health or your relationships. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance, where you're nurturing all those different aspects of your life.
It's a constant balancing act, really.
It is. So as we move forward, think about it. What needs more watering in your life right now? What maybe needs a little less attention for a while? These are important questions to consider. We've covered a lot of ground already, from personal definitions to practical strategies, and even, the potential downsides of success. But we've only scratched the surface. Stick with us as we uncover even more fascinating insights in part 2.
All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We're picking up where we left off, exploring this whole idea of success. It's not just about the end goal, right? It's about navigating the whole journey in a way that, aligns with your values, your goals. It's got to feel right.
One thing that came up in the sources I thought was really interesting, especially for those of us who are, driven, independent. It's easy to want to do everything ourselves, figure it all out on our own.
Go it alone.
Exactly. But these sources, they really emphasize the power of mentorship. Having someone to guide you, it can be huge. It can really make a difference.
They go beyond just saying, mentorship is good, though. They really break down the specifics of how a mentor can actually accelerate your growth.
Yeah, like how does it actually work?
Right? For example, they talk about mentors opening doors to valuable networks, opportunities you might not even know about otherwise.
It's not just who you know, it's who they know, right?
Exactly. A mentor can make those crucial introductions, connect you with the right people.
People who can actually help you reach your goals. It's like a shortcut, in a way.
And it's not just about connections either. Mentors can provide really valuable help with problem solving. They've probably faced similar challenges in their own journeys.
They've been there, done that.
Right, so they can offer strategies that have actually worked for them.
It's like having that wisdom, that experience passed down to you. And the sources also talk about strategic thinking, something a mentor can help you develop.
Thinking big picture, anticipating those challenges, making those smart long-term decisions. Sometimes it's hard to see that stuff when you're in the thick of it yourself,
You need that outside perspective, someone who can help you zoom out a bit.
Exactly. And then there's the emotional support a mentor provides, which shouldn't be underestimated.
That can be huge. Just having someone who believes in you, who can offer encouragement when you're feeling doubtful.
It's like having your own personal compass, helping you navigate through those inevitable storms, keeping you on course. But here's a key point the sources make. A mentor can guide you, support you, open doors.
Give you the tools, so to speak.
Yes, but ultimately, you're the one who has to walk through those doors and take action.
You got to put in the work.
Exactly. Mentorship is invaluable, but it's not a magic bullet. It's about actively applying those insights, taking ownership of your own growth.
It's a partnership, not a hand-me-down. The mentor provides the map, but you're the one doing the hiking. And I think it's worth mentioning that mentorship doesn't have to be this formal, structured thing, you know?
Right. It can be as simple as seeking advice from someone you admire, someone whose work you respect.
Someone who's a little further down the path than you are.
Exactly. It can come from all sorts of places, a former teacher, a colleague, even a friend, a family member. The key is to be open to learning from those around you.
And actively seeking out guidance when you need it. Because even the most successful people, they rarely achieve their goals alone. There's always something to learn from those who have gone before us.
Now, shifting gears a bit, the sources also dive into something that's really ingrained in American culture, the American dream.
Ah, yes. That classic narrative, right? Upward mobility, rags to riches,
Yeah.
achieving success no matter where you start.
Exactly. And it's fascinating to see how this concept, how it really shapes our perceptions of what it means to achieve.
What success actually looks like.
Right. We have some sources that really dig into the historical and sociological roots of the American dream, going beyond just the individual level.
Putting it into a larger context.
Exactly. They trace it all the way back to like the Protestant work ethic,
Yeah.
the idea that hard work, self-reliance, material prosperity, these things are signs of God's favor.
Interesting. So it's tied into this whole religious belief system.
It is. And even though it's evolved over time, that ethic, it still has a huge influence on how we view success in America. It's like baked into our cultural DNA.
This belief that if you just work hard enough, you can achieve anything, regardless of your background.
The classic bootstrap narrative.
Exactly. But the sources, they also raise some critical questions about, how valid is this narrative really in the 21st century?
Yeah, they point out that while the American dream has definitely inspired generations, it also often overlooks those systemic inequalities that exist, things that make upward mobility much, much harder for some people.
It's not a level playing field for everyone.
It's not. Factors like race, class, gender, access to education, these create massive obstacles that hard work alone can't always overcome.
It's like we're sold this idealized version of success, but the reality is much more complicated.
Much messier. And that gap between the ideal and the real, it can be harmful. It can lead to disillusionment, a sense of personal failure when people can't reach those aspirations.
Because they think it's just about them not trying hard enough.
Exactly. And it feeds into that dark side of success we talked about earlier, the burnout, the pressure, that constant need to achieve more without acknowledging those systemic factors that are at play.
So where do we go from here? What are the sources suggesting?
Well, they suggest it might be time to rethink the American dream.
To redefine it, maybe?
Yeah, to move beyond this individualistic, materialistic definition of success.
Towards something more holistic, more inclusive.
Something that acknowledges those systemic barriers and focuses on creating opportunities for everyone to thrive, regardless of their background. A vision that values community, collaboration, well-being, alongside those individual achievements.
I love that. So as we continue this deep dive, I want to pose this question to you listening. What would a redefined American dream look like to you? A dream that's both aspirational and attainable, that fosters a more just and equitable society where success isn't just measured by material wealth, but by the well-being of all. It's a big question, but an important one. And it leads us into the final part of our exploration, where we'll delve into some actionable strategies for achieving success on your own terms.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been through a lot, haven't we? Exploring all these different facets of success. We've talked about, how to define it for yourself, how to navigate those tricky parts, even what we can learn from nature. But now I think it's time to bring it all back to you. What can you actually take away from this? How can you apply it to your own life?
That's the beauty of the sources we've been looking at, really. They don't just talk about these abstract concepts. They actually offer a ton of practical advice, actionable steps you can start implementing right now.
Because what good is knowledge if you can't use it, right? Exactly. It's got to be applicable. It's got to make a difference. And as we've discussed, there's no one-size-fits-all formula for success. It's a journey, and it's going to look different for everyone.
Your own unique path.
Right. But even though the path is different, there are some common threads that run through all these sources, some practical tips and strategies that can help anyone along the way.
Those universal truths.
Exactly. And one that comes up again and again is the importance of setting clear, achievable goals. That's where the SMART goals framework comes in.
Right, yes. Good old SMART goals. I feel like we hear about those a lot, but for good reason.
Definitely. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely. It really helps you take those big, sometimes overwhelming dreams and break them down into smaller, more manageable steps.
So it feels less daunting.
Exactly. It's like having a roadmap for your journey. But the sources also remind us it's not just about the what's of your goals, it's also about the how.
The strategy behind it.
Right. So they talk about developing those essential skills for success: effective communication, problem solving, time management, adaptability, resilience. These are the tools that will help you navigate those inevitable challenges.
The stuff that comes up along the way.
Exactly. And they don't just give you a list of skills and say, good luck. They actually provide concrete strategies for developing them. For example, they talk about using the Eisenhower matrix to prioritize tasks, or the Pomodoro technique for focused work sessions.
I've heard of those. They're pretty popular productivity techniques.
They are, and for good reason. They really work. And let's not forget about the social aspect of success too, right? The sources really emphasize building a support network.
Having your people, your tribe.
Exactly. Having those people who believe in you, who can offer encouragement, constructive feedback, that can make all the difference.
They're your cheerleaders, your sounding board, your accountability partners.
All of that. And remember, finding mentors doesn't have to be this formal, intimidating process.
It can be pretty casual, right?
It can. It could be as simple as seeking advice from someone you admire or joining a community of like-minded individuals where you can share ideas and support each other.
Those connections are so valuable. They remind you you're not alone in this. But as we wrap up this deep dive, there's one final takeaway I want to highlight. It's something that really resonated with me personally. Success. It's not a destination, it's a journey.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's a shift in perspective, isn't it? We get so caught up in chasing those specific outcomes, those milestones we think will bring us happiness, fulfillment. But the real magic, the real growth, the transformation, it happens along the way.
In the process itself.
Exactly. We learn, we adapt, we stumble, we get back up. It's in those moments, the challenges and the triumphs, that we truly discover who we are and what we're capable of. And the sources, they encourage us to find joy and fulfillment in that pursuit itself, rather than waiting for that elusive moment of arrival.
Living in the moment, appreciating the journey.
Exactly. So as you continue on your own path towards success, remember to savor the process. Celebrate those small wins. Embrace the challenges, and never stop learning, never stop growing. And don't forget to look for those shark teeth moments, those times when you adapt, evolve, and come out stronger on the other side. Those are the moments that truly define your journey and ultimately shape your success.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you surface with some fresh perspectives, some actionable insights to guide you on your own unique path. Until next time, keep diving deep.